Okay, it's been a couple hours. Usually what I'll do is I'll break the the action loose, make sure we don't have any problems. We're already taken out the bottom takedown screw, or the front takedown screw. Looks pretty clean. Now here's what you want to hear, this like tick when you loosen it. That's how it should sound. So let's see what we got. Hear it? That just tells me that that's nice and tight. If it comes loose slow like that, and look, I can spin this right out, so that tells me I don't have a problem with any kind of mechanical lock with the screw. And then you take a look at the screw, and there's very little going on here at all. There's no DevCon on the end of the screw, hardly anything in the threads at all other than the shoe polish itself. So that's a good sign. I'll flip this thing over. And I use this little maple block. I set it in here like this, up against the original plumber's putty down in there. And then we'll take and we'll smack it. And you can hear it crack. Of course, your first hope is that crack wasn't the stock, but it's not. It's breaking loose from the bedding. Now, with the rear takedown and the front takedown, now you don't cam this in and out anymore. You can, but there's no need to. That shelf is gone in the back. Now it's held here and here, so you can bring this straight up and out. And now let's take a look at what we've got. Take these out. Bear with me and I'll pull the camera out of the mount here, and we'll take a first look. Easier to get out than I wish it was easier to get out. All right, here in the front, we're actually looking pretty good. You can see where I've got material here. What I'll do is at this line, I'll clean that all out. And what that does is it makes sure that even if he goes, this end user goes back to a standard V-block, he's not going to have a problem with the V-block being part of the bedding. It just won't be there. And you can see it's still a little bit soft, so I'll probably break a lot of this loose now without disturbing this. You can see the top of the pillar here, which tells me we had a good surface up against our receiver. Here's the front Tang stuff. So that looks pretty clean. And here, if you look down the sides, I'm not sure how close up this will go. Here's your rear Tang escutcheon, completely bedded in now. Obviously, this is where that dip is at the back of the receiver. Here's our side receiver shelf bedding that makes sure everything's sitting down real nice and pretty. I don't see any voids. Looks pretty complete in here as well. So I think we have a very successful job here. Now there's a lot of cleanup left to do, and this is going to have to cure overnight so that everything is rock hard. And then there's some tricks to cleaning this up that I'll show you tomorrow. I will tell you right now though, this will be gone, because it's just simply not needed anymore. Now it's just going to be in the way of putting it in straight up and down. Our support structure is going to be here, here, and here. This will be completely gone. So we don't have to worry about that affecting us anyway. There was a little looseness at the back of the inlet, but you can see where the DevCon has actually built up a little bit on the sides here. That really locks the back of that in. On the front here, we're looking pretty good. Sometimes I have to clean this up a little bit here because it's a little too good. Sometimes I don't, depends on the unit. But what I'll do is since I've got a trigger unit, I'll stick it in that and I'll make sure that everything fits properly. But at this point, looks pretty dang good. Let me mount this back up in here. bear with the earthquake. I'm going to set this back in. It looks really nice. And basically, the way I usually do it is I start this at this angle. Don't have to, but that's just the way I do it. And then I'll pull the back up a little bit and set her down in. And we'll set her down nice and tight. We'll take, oh, there it is, rolled underneath there. Now, these are the handiest hex drivers that you can find. They have a ball end on them, and they just come in just as handy as can be. Bondus makes it. This one's an 1/8 inch. So I got a 8 or 10 piece set. Boy, it really comes in handy, and it grips the screw, helps you get it out. We'll set this down here, thread her back in. I usually put the back tang in first, and then we'll take the front, and we'll put this screw in. This is a kid takedown screw. I gotta say, I don't really, they're okay. What I don't care for is the hex engagement's pretty shallow. So a lot of times I'll make my own dang screw and stick it in there. Of course, here we are now. And then we should be able to take a single card and slide it back in there with no trouble. And we're completely floated. Got a little bit of tape in that bore there, so. These cards are probably 15 to 20 thou thick. They're a heavy card stock. Let's see what we can do with a. See if I got a dollar bill. Probably have. Usually have dollar bills. Usually don't have anything much bigger. I'm married. I don't believe I need to explain any farther than that. Anyway. Let's take this and slide her in there. And she goes all the way back. No hesitation whatsoever, no hang-ups. So we now have a fully floated barrel. Prior to that, there was a build-up area here and a built-up area out here. Need to keep in mind, this is a very rock-solid system. Some barrels don't like that. And there are times where you will do this, and because of the specific harmonics of the barreled action, and there's a lot of things that go into it, some barrels still like a little bit of support out along the barrel channel. Just the way it is sometimes. They're not all the same. We all know these are very, even though these are simple rifles, every one of them is a little bit different than the next. So this takes out a lot of variability as far as stock wood and so forth goes. But there are still instances where you can do this and your groups will be fine, but if you see a little bit of vertical stringing, then that's always might be a good idea to put a little pad out here or a pad in here somewhere or something. I've only had to do it once on one of my rifles that had a hammer forged barrel on it. This was a while back when I first started messing with trying to figure out how to mount the rear tangs on different receivers. It seems to work pretty good. As far as alignment, it's kind of hard to tell with the tape there, but as you can see, this runs pretty doggone true here. And then even out here, as you look at the flute, that gap's pretty even all the way around. Your gap here in between your lettering's really close. Same thing back here. So you can tell you've got a good level receiver, which it wasn't before. Doesn't necessarily mean it was bad, just means it wasn't the way I like it anyway. And hopefully the owner of this rifle will like the way it turns out. In any case, we'll let this sit overnight. At that time, I'll pull some of this tape off. Matter of fact, I can pull some of it right now because we're not going to get any more creeping from the DevCon. should be in pretty doggone good shape. Here on the bottom, if you look up in there, you see we don't have anything on the bottom here. Now this dripped way down, way down through here. And I cleaned that up already while it was still pretty wet. We also had, and you run into it every now and then, right here. At this point, sometimes you'll get a little bit that'll run down through here. You have to really watch for that, because if it comes down through here and rolls over, which this did a little bit, and you don't catch it, that's a mechanical lock. You've just locked that into the stock, and it's going to be difficult to get it out at best. You probably have to grind it. This has already been cleaned, so I didn't have to worry about it. Anyway, we'll let this sit overnight and everything cure up nice and hard. And then tomorrow we'll come back. I'll take the action out and I'll show you how you clean this all up. And it'll be ready to go back to the proud owner. Anyway, that's it for this one for tonight. Tomorrow's another day. And got a lot done. So we'll just continue on tomorrow. Successfully popped it out of the stock. Everything looks good, nice and clean, no voids. If you do get voids, which does happen, because it's very much a blind install on that DevCon. If you get voids in it, it's not a big deal. You can mix up a little more DevCon and skin coat it and fill those voids in. Unless the voids are extensive, they really don't bother anything. But if you're like me, aesthetically, it bugs you like hell. So to make it look good, you can skin bed it, and it's not going to hurt anything. You just have to watch it as you install and take your action in and out, that you don't chip it, which can happen with the skin bed because it's a very thin material at that point. In this case, we're not going to have to do any of that. It didn't look like. Everything looked really clean. Everything looked full. We should be in real good shape. I believe this is going to be a real nice one. So tomorrow morning, or sometime tomorrow, I'll probably do it tomorrow morning because I'm just that way. I'll come back out. We'll pull this barreled action out, and we'll clean her all up, grind it, clean it, get it to where it looks good, put her together, and get her ready to ship. Anyway, pretty cool. By the way, these are very good receivers. These are Elite 22 receivers. Very good. On par with Kid. I haven't had a problem with one of them. Probably the only thing I find is not even a negative, really, just a preference. I don't care for the rail being part of the receiver. I'd rather be able to take the rail on and off, just because that's the way I am. I like to have that flexibility. But it makes a very nice looking build. I did do one of these not too long ago where the Tang and the stock and everything actually lined up here on the top line, right here. But in this case, as you can see, if I'd have put it up here, and we'd have had some real issues. So you've got to make sure that you know where that Tang's going to sit, even with the stock. Receiver doesn't care where it's at, but you got to have it even with the stock, or it's just going to look silly. So anyway, tomorrow morning we'll get this thing finished up. Thanks.